Hey guys, welcome to Jughead's Garage. Today, we're going to try to get this beautiful King Quad 300 out of this spot in the woods without rolling that propane tank down the hill or doing any other kind of damage. And we're going to take this thing home and see if we can't get it going. I'm not sure how long it's been sitting here, but the members of this deer camp, the first 4 or 5 that I asked, had no idea whose it was because it had been sitting here so long. So I finally found the guy who owns it. He said he didn't want it. If I had use for it, I could have it. So big thanks to him. I have 2 or 3 of these. So if I can't get this one running, I can use some of the parts for another one of mine. So stay tuned. We'll see what happens. So I think the first thing we're going to do is run by the car wash and spray this thing off. It's always easier to work on a clean four-wheeler. Although it's not real muddy. So the guy did not let it get caked with mud. It's just been setting. So it just has a little bit of grime on it. I think it's gonna clean up pretty good. We'll see. So we've got her loaded up. Man, she's a beauty. Check this thing out. It's all complete. Almost all of them are missing this piece. I don't see not one crack in the fenders. The seat is torn. Not a problem. I almost think those tires would air up. What a beauty. Oh, come on, it's not that bad. I love them. So I did find a few cracks. Nothing real major. Crack there. Crack there. Looks like it's been zip tied back together, but cleaned up pretty good. So let's have a look at this thing. I got a piece of shingle. That's kind of weird. I've had several of these. I've never had this rack extension. That's pretty cool. Some kind of seat strapped to the front of it. The boots look pretty good. As far as I can tell, everything is intact. Let's climb up here and see if the motor is locked up. Oh, yeah. So we better get the spark plug out. Shoot a little oil down in there and let it sit. Looks like it has 3,999 miles. So that was quite a bit for an old rig like this. But anyway, let's get that plug out and get it soaking. Alright, we're gonna pull the plug and get some lubricant in that cylinder. I would normally use some kind of penetrating oil, or I've used diesel fuel, transmission fluid, but I can't find any of that, and for some reason I have about 5 jillion bottles of brake fluid. So you can use really any kind of lubricant. It's not going to make any difference. Sure wish I had the key to this rig. It helps if you have a plug socket. This one's not quite deep enough, but it'll work. I doubt we'll ever get that to go in there. All right, got that in there. I'm gonna just start that plug back in there. Now I want to unhook the fuel line, drain the old gas out. I'm almost certain we'll have to tear this carburetor down and clean it at least, but we can try it. I'm gonna pull this line right here. So I set that petcock to prime because it has a vacuum operated petcock, which means that if the engine isn't running, it shuts the fuel supply off. But if you set it to prime, it should flow freely, so that tank is stopped up. Alright, so I think we'll have to actually pull the petcock itself to get that to drain. That's probably where the obstruction is anyway. And we're just going to get gas everywhere. Never find that. Most of mine never have these parts. So we got gas draining. Another thing about these rigs, they have a fuel pump, and it is located on the frame about right there. And it's probably bad, so you can bypass it, but you lose about the bottom third of your fuel tank because it's actually lower than the carb. Always make sure to drain your fuel into an approved waste container. I have one under there, so don't worry about that. Alright, I'm going to remove this petcock and see if I can clean it. This here is the vacuum line. This one is fuel out to the fuel pump. So we're able to blow through there. So maybe the obstruction has cleared just from taking it apart, spraying it off. I'm gonna put this back together, slap it back on there. Oh, I got that one started. Well, I'll be goodness. Well, that's gone forever. We'll see if we can find it. Never gonna happen. The good news is I have several of these, so I can just go steal one off of one of my other machines. I'd really like to find it though. It'd be right in here. Oh well. Okay, so I stole a bolt off of one of my other machines. So we'll get this put back together. And then please don't drop this one too. Alright, I'm not going to put all this back on right at the moment. And I'm sure that I'll lose it and never put it back on. But that's alright. Now the real question is, do I put fresh gas in it and try it? Or do I go ahead and take the carb apart and clean it? The throttle's locked up. So I am going to take it and fill it full of fuel. Since we drained the tank, I'm going to get some penetrating oil to spray in that cylinder. I'm going to fill it completely full. So if I can get the engine unstuck, I'm gonna try to take that carburetor apart and clean it. But if not, I have another one of those King quads that is tore apart right now. I had to put a timing chain in it, and depending on how well this one runs, I may not even finish putting that other one back together. It's really not worth the trouble, considering these things are a dime a dozen nowadays. You can pick them up pretty cheap, normally with busted plastics, stuff like that. So I could use the parts off of that one. It has really good plastics on it. So that's kind of what I've been thinking about doing. And this one, the plastics are already good on this one, so I don't need them for it. But we'll just have to see if I can get this engine unstuck. Alright, I got some PB Blaster, and I just got into some mess of fire ants. I can't stand them things. I'm still getting them off of me. So, at some point during that process, I lost my ratchet socket. Huh. There it is. All right. So I'm gonna fill this, I'm gonna take this plug out. I'm gonna fill that cylinder completely full. And I'm gonna try to float if there's anything in there out. Just let it overflow. I'm not seeing anything coming out. I'm gonna put that plug back in. And also, since the carburetor is locked up, I'm thinking about spraying some of that blaster down in it and letting it sit, because I've got to go to bed because I'm on night shift and it's getting pretty late in the morning. So if I can get all this soaking by tomorrow, it should be ready to go. Fingers crossed. I'm sure I'll have to pull this carb off, but a man can dream. Oh man, the slide's even stuck. That's not good. Now we're gonna soak her down. Oh well. And I just dropped the spray. I'm probably just gonna go ahead. These are such a pain to get those intake boots back on. I really hate having to do that, but there's not any way around it. We will also make it where I can spray the oil down into the cylinder even more. If I can't get to that. More fire ants biting on me. Oh. I've always said fire ants, they wait until there's 1,000 on you, and then I guess one of them yells fire, and then they all start biting you at once. By the time you feel the bite, you've got 11,000 on you, and you itch for 17 weeks. Oh wow. I think that's the worst carb I've ever seen. Oh my goodness. I don't even think I should try to clean this. It's too far gone. Wow. I mean, they really made this a real pain. Oh, I just slung the bolts everywhere. All right, got it off. Whew, it's rough. It is rough. I think it's unusable. Wow. Get in here and look at this. Got almost like a powdery substance. Everyone says, oh, don't use the Chinese knockoff carbs. Well, I've used a bunch of them. You can get them for 25 bucks, so if they last a year, I mean, it's cheaper to replace one every year than to pay $500 or $600 for an OEM. But I have found on these Suzukis, I've never been able to make one work well, but we might have to try it. I can get that clean, but I'm gonna probably go ahead and order one in the meantime. So stay tuned. We'll see what happens. All right, update. I'm gonna try to clean this carb. I'm not real optimistic, to be honest, but we'll give it a shot. Maybe soak it in that Berryman overnight. You never know. It may come out. We'll see. Look at this thing. That slide was so seized in there, I had to go put it in a vise and pry it out with a screwdriver. This is gonna be rough. Never seen one so rusty. I almost bet this thing was underwater. Surprisingly, the needle wasn't seized. Probably never get these jets out. Oh, well. That one's not even plugged. That one is. I have this torch tip cleaner. Works great for these jets. I want the biggest one that'll go through it. Without reaming it out. This is really bad, but if I haven't mentioned that already. Can't get that torch tip cleaner through this one. And I broke it. We'll just have to soak this one. Let's see. The butterfly valve is stuck. See if we can work it back and forth. Well, we'll see what happens. The screw that holds the needle and seat valve in is so corroded I'll never get it out. So maybe it'll clean up. I'm almost certain we're going to be, even if we get this engine unlocked, we're going to be ordering a carburetor. But it's worth a try. We'll see what happens. We're going to let this soak for overnight, and we'll pull it out and look at it. If it looks like it did any good and maybe needs a little more, we'll let it soak a little longer. If it still looks just as horrible, I'll probably just call it and throw this one in the parts bin. But we'll see. Alright guys, it's actually been a few days, but I've been coming out here every 2 or 3 times a day and seeing if I can pull on that cord and get that engine to let go, but it's moved just a little bit. But I got to thinking, I have reason to believe this engine is on its intake stroke. So we're putting lubricant on top of the piston, but being that it's on the intake stroke, the piston's moving down in the cylinder, which those cylinder walls are probably dry as a bone. So I think what I'm gonna do, this engine, based on what I saw in that carburetor and intake, I'm not 100% sure this thing wasn't in a flood or drowned out and drugged to where it was sitting. So it could use a good flushing anyway. I'm gonna go fill this whole crankcase full of diesel and let it sit, and that hopefully will dissolve any mud. I don't know. It's worth a try, but it will also lubricate the bottom side underneath the piston, and maybe we can make a little ground on this thing. We'll see. So update on the King Claw. The good news is the tires held air overnight. The bad news is the motor's still locked up. So I did fill the crankcase with diesel. I think what I'm going to do is pull the pull cord cover off, and then we can get a ratchet on the crankcase bolt, and we can try to turn it in both directions. I'm thinking maybe that'll help us a little bit. We'll see. Let's get the old Craftsman tool set out. You don't need to spend 100 grand on snap-on tools. The best tools I've ever had have been Craftsman. And even I've got some Harbor Freight stuff as well, but I really like the Craftsman. What are you? It's an 8. Yep, it's gonna be the 8. Should have done this the first day. I was being lazy. Because like I said, I think the engine's on the intake stroke. The reason I say that is I sprayed down the intake tube and it filled up the combustion chamber, which tells me the intake valve is open. With the bed on the intake stroke, it's trying to travel down. I need to try to spin it back and forth, I think. Might have more luck. Pretty cold this morning here. Central Arkansas. Oh, detent ball. Not holding my sockets very well. Well, I was just bragging on Craftsman tools. I can hold on to anything today. Got it somewhat off. Let's see if we can get a socket on that crank. I'll try every one I got until I get it. We'll put 76 feet of extension on here. Let's see if we can turn it. Yes. Yes. So we got it turning. Not all the way, but making progress. Just taking the nut off. We could have a stuck valve. turning until it gets to the point where it's trying to close that valve or open that valve. Move some. I'm gonna put that back on and kind of pull it now that we've got it broke loose. You know, there comes a time in a man's life when he's finally had enough. And I've had enough. I'm gonna break this engine loose if it's the last thing I do. Victory! Tore up the yard a little bit, dragging her on all fours, but we got it. So we've got the old motor unlocked. So now I think I'm gonna drain all that diesel out, put some oil in it, see if we can't get it to fire up. Stay tuned. Alright guys, so we got the engine unlocked on this King Quad. So now we're going to drain that diesel fuel out, put a little oil in it. And I'm gonna rob the carburetor off of one of my other King Quads, because that other one is no count. I'll show you that in a second. But let's get going on this oil change. Ooh, that stuff looks like gravy. Diesel fuel and gravy. Wow. Hopefully it flushed it out real good. While we're letting that oil drain, let me show you this here carburetor. Not too bad, huh? Cleaned up pretty good. Check out this carburetor. This is what I like to call a Luke 11 carburetor. Luke 1139. You Pharisees clean the outside of the cup, but the inside is full of greed and wickedness. Look at all of that greed and wickedness. This thing was never going to run. So we'll throw it in the parts bin in case we need to rob a jet or something out of it later down the road. But for now, we're just going to borrow a carb off of one of my other King Quads. Always remember, folks, it's important not to get these two mixed up. Rotel in your cheese dip, Rotella in your crankcase. Maybe you noticed, well, he didn't change the filter. Yeah, you're right, but I'm going to change the oil 2 or 3 times to get all this diesel out. And it's Sunday, so the parts store's closed, so I don't have a filter. The next 2 times I change it, I will change the filter too. But right now we're just going to see if we can get it to run, and we're not going to run it too long. So it should be fine. She holds about 4 quarts of oil. A little less than 4 quarts. Oh yeah, it's thick. Should have heated this up first. It's a little chilly today down here in south central Arkansas. Normally don't have this issue. That's about 3.5 quarts. All right, full of oil. Let's see if this thing will run. So I don't have the key, so I had to jump. I cut the wires that go to the key switch and splice the two together that gives it power. The starter's not working, so all we have is this pull start. Let's give it a little gas, little throttle action. It runs. Whoa. Well, we got a runner, folks. Well then. The thing hardly even smoke. Got a slight oil leak right on the header pipe. Well, there it is. Got a little more work to do, but got a running machine. Well guys, we're going to call that the end of this episode of Jughead's Garage. We took a four-wheeler out of the woods, been sitting there, I'd say at least 10, 15 years, and put a little bit of time in it, almost no money. I got about 40 bucks in it so far, and we've got a running four-wheeler. Now, it is smoking like a train, but we poured a lot of oil down that cylinder. We only ran it for a few minutes. I want to get a new carb for it. The one I put on it's real gummed up, really doesn't, it's for a different year model, doesn't fit it well. So couldn't hook the throttle cable and all that stuff up. So once I get a carburetor on it, I'm able to run this thing. It might clear up, the rings might seat, you know, it probably needs a top end. But if I drive the thing and it performs well, the transmission shifts, you know, I might throw a big bore kit on it. But that'll be another video. So stay tuned and thank you for watching.